and it's a pleasure for me to see all of you here. So for you who already know us, I'm going to try to share some new exclusive information. And most importantly, there's a lot of you who don't exactly know what Newzik does and what our vision is. So I'm going to try to make this presentation as clear as possible for you to get all the information that you need. I'm delighted to host this webinar, especially in these times where all of us, music publishers, musicians, music, we're all facing an unprecedented situation, and we have to find new initiatives and new ways of serving our clients. So I hope that we're going to find some solutions also together today in the current context. With that being said, I'm going to show you real quick what our topics are going to be today. So I will give you a brief overview of what our history is, what our relationships are with music publishers, and what is our vision for the future. And then I'm going to present you two solutions that we have created for music publishers. The first one is the Newzik Publishing Web Platform, PWP. The second one is the Newzik API. And eventually, I will try to disclose some of our future plans of what we could do together in the future. At the end of this webinar, there's going to be a time for question and answers. Anytime during the conference, you can ask questions in the Q&A section. I think somewhere down below, you have this Q&A section. And you're also welcome to introduce yourselves and say hello in the chat section. So I'm going to start right away by giving a brief overview of what Newzik originally is and what's our vision. So we've been created in 2015. So basically, our core activity is developing an application for organizing, for professional musicians to organize their sheet music, the digital library, to read the sheet music, to annotate it, to share it with their peers. And this application has been on the market since 2015. And last month, we had the chance to raise 3 million euros, which is going to tremendously help us to expand our area of activity. It's going to help us to increase the speed of development of new features. It's going to allow us to launch strong promotional actions and strong marketing. And it's going to also help us to develop more solutions for you publishers. In parallel, we today count more than 100,000 individual users of the application, and we have a track record of numerous projects with corporate institutions ranging from opera houses, symphony orchestras, festivals, conservatories, ensembles, TV shows, etc., etc. Historically, Newzik, we liked to do what we call projects with orchestras and opera houses. A project is basically a concert where Newzik would come on site, meet the musicians, meet the administration. We would train the musicians. And at the end of the rehearsals, we would perform a concert, a digital concert on iPads. The situation was that every time we made a project with a partner, with an orchestra, we faced the same difficulty. We had to obtain the rights to perform on iPads, to display the sheet music on tablets. The clients, they had trouble asking for digital scores from the publishers because there were no secure solutions. Sometimes music publishers would accept to send the PDF in attachment to an email. Sometimes the music publishers would not accept because of fear of losing control of the material. Sometimes music publishers would even ask for additional fees when the orchestra already had the sheet music in paper, the higher material. So there was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of uncertainty, of opacity. And for Newzik, it was important to be legal and to be transparent. So every time we made a concert, we contacted the publisher to sign a one-to-one agreement saying, we Newzik, we guarantee that we will delete the content after the concert. But as you can imagine, this situation was not scalable. And as the demand for digital concerts and for digital material increased, we had to think of new ways to deal with this situation. So this is why we took some time to discuss with music publishers and develop tools to facilitate the delivery of digital scores in a legal and transparent way. Our philosophy at Newzik is not to change the business model because we're not distributors. So the process is the following. A client contacts you, tells you the information. They ask you the piece that they want. They pay you. And after this whole request, transaction, and negotiation process is over, only after that, the music publisher would send the sheet music digitally using Newzik, without attachment, without any download, without anything, because your content would basically be stuck inside the Newzik ecosystem. In addition to this, you have the possibility to get back the markings of the client in a proper way, in the form of a layer of annotations on top of the original notes. So these solutions, they take form in our different tools. On the musician side, we have our original Newzik application available on any iOS device. In addition to the application, we launched 1 month ago the beta version of Newzik Web. This was to get rid of the Apple environment. So today, anyone with a computer can create and access a Newzik account to see their sheet music. On your side, we developed 2 tools for music publishers. The first one is Newzik PWP, and the second one, Newzik API. I'm going to dig into the details of these 2 later on. The important thing is that your tools, PWP and API, they are directly connected to the musician tools. So there is no attachment. The pieces, they go from your interface directly into the musician's interface. Let's get into the details of Newzik PWP. Just to make sure that you're still here, can you please raise your hands real quick so I'm sure I'm not talking? Wonderful. Okay, that's good. Yeah, the funny thing about raising hands is that then I have so many notifications that I don't see my screen. Wonderful. So Newzik PWP, it's the publishing web platform. It's a unique tool that allows a music publisher to send digital material to a client on request while keeping control of their copyrights. The 3 keywords for PWP are that it's a free tool, meaning you can create an account and start using the solution right away. It's an on-demand scenario where the digitization is progressive. You only scan and import the content that is requested by the client. Finally, it's a secure tool. It's the only tool that will allow you to set specific restrictions to the usage of the content, and we're going to see these restrictions later on in the presentation. So, initially, PWP was designed for music publisher hire departments. So it has a strong level of security. And this tool is actually so easy to use that today it can be used by any music publisher to send digital material on request. Who can you send content to? Well, basically anyone, because you can serve anyone who has created a Newzik account, either on Newzik Web or on the application. This means that you can serve all your clients. You can serve your corporate clients, orchestras, opera houses, conservatories. You can sell or rent content to institutions or choirs that would require one single part, but for multiple users. So this system of PWP perfectly works for large groups. It also works for individuals who would require one piece. I'm taking the example of perusal scores. We've had the case in the past month, actually, during the COVID crisis, of music publishers using PWP to distribute perusal scores to librarians and conductors preparing the next season. So basically, anyone requesting digital scores can be served using PWP. It's up to you to set the frame of what content you are willing to distribute and to whom. We at Newzik will be happy to support the communication, but essentially, you're in complete control of your activity. How would any of these clients, let's say an orchestra, request the digital material? Well, we tried to make it as simple as possible. The request comes in the traditional form, per email, per telephone. If you wish, as a music publisher, you can even create a small form on your website, on your higher library pages on your website, to facilitate the order of digital scores. This is all up to you. What's important is that we try to simplify the instrumentation and orchestration topics. In the Newzik, a piece is basically a bundle of the full score, all the separate instrumental parts, the piano reduction, the associated media files. So if we take our example of an orchestra ordering content, they would not need to tell you that there are 12 violin 1 players, 8 violin 2 players, etc. They would simply need to tell you that there are this and that instrument, and that in total, there are 70, let's say 70 people who are going to need to see the music. I want to emphasize that in Newzik, any musician can see all the parts. Any musician can have a look at the full score if they want, depending on how the librarian will distribute the parts between the musicians. So for you, it's actually easier. You take the entire piece, you send it to the client for a given number of persons, and it's then that the librarian will take care of sharing to the musicians. When it comes to agents and representatives of music publishers in the various countries, we've seen different situations, and we don't want to intervene too much in this situation. What we think is that we can stick to the current model where a client would contact their agent in a given country, and then, depending on the deal that the publisher has with the agent, either the agent or the music publisher would send the digital material using PWP, because basically anyone can create an account, and it's up to you to negotiate how you're going to work with your agents. Since we've seen different scenarios, I invite you to contact us directly when you have some questions about how to deal with agents in particular countries. So we'll discuss this in person. Let's talk about the content. I'm sorry. The good news is that PWP allows to send more than just sheet music in PDF. The tool allows you to enhance the sheet music with media files, with YouTube video links. You can even prepare the sheet music by adding bookmarks, by making some markings, let's say bowings, by making some corrections. You can even synchronize your PDF with the audio file to automate the page turn. So this is all up to you to prepare the music and enhance the experience for the client. We are even working currently on implementing small boxes inside a score where you would be able to insert, let's say, a picture or a comment to comment the piece. This we're developing with CMBV. It's Versailles Center for Baroque Music in France. And we're looking forward to releasing this feature this year. And it's going to be highly interesting for you to enhance the let's say, the full scores for critical editions, for urtext, etc. On the other hand, we're working on allowing you to receive the markings back from the client to basically collect different layers of annotation over time of the different clients that have used the same piece. Let's talk about the restrictions. As I said, your files, they arrive inside the Newzik application of the client, and they cannot be taken out. So you have full control of the usage of the score thanks to digital restrictions. You can either sell or rent material with PWP. When it's a rental, there is an expiration date, which means a watermark will appear after that date on the client's side. You can control the number of users who can see the music by assigning a number of licenses. A license is basically an individual user allowed to see and work on the sheet music that you sent. Any additional person will have a watermark blocking the view. Last but not least, we also obviously implemented the impeachment of printing and exporting the pieces so that everything that you send stays inside Newzik and only inside Newzik. To allow full flexibility, all these criteria, all these restrictions, you can change afterwards inside an existing contract. Let's say you want to extend the rental period, you can. Let's say a concert has been canceled, you can shorten the duration. If you have a problem with the client, you can take down the number of licenses down to 1 so that only the librarian can see the music. If a soloist comes in an orchestra, the client requires an additional license, you can increase the number of licenses and it will instantaneously apply. So you have really full flexibility in the contracts. We are about to implement a starting date, and we're looking forward to this because the starting date will allow you to prepare contracts in advance so that you can do a bunch of digital orders at once, and the content will only send to the client at the desired date. Eventually, we're also looking forward to implementing cancellation of contracts so that if you have any customer issue, you can block the access to the content right away. This is how it looks like on the client's end. So this is the watermark that appears when there are too many licenses used or when the content is basically out of date, when the expiration is over. The client will have a very nice experience because if he decides to play the same piece the next year or the next season, they will contact you and you can renew the contract, which will remove the watermark on the client's end and reveal the markings that they had before. So what happens is that the markings, they stay on the client's side underneath the watermark. And when it comes off, the client can work right away and find back their initial markings. Here's a quick recap of the business advantages of PWP. So it's 100% free. It's very easy to use. It's only material that is stuck inside the Newzik ecosystem. It allows you to enhance the sheet music. It's incredibly fast and it's incredibly flexible. There is no extra cost for the client, meaning that anyone can create a free Newzik account and receive your content. They don't have to pay for Newzik to individually receive your content. You remain in full control of your pricing, of your digital offer, because there is no payment involved in Newzik PWP. It's basically just replacing the postman. And last but not least, it allows you to take a first step in digitization very smoothly. You don't need to scan your entire catalog. You only scan and import the content that is requested by a client. I'd like to show you some examples of how this can be used. So PWP is regularly used today by a number of music publishers for hire material. I listed some of them here. I just want to show you real quick how it looks on Shot's website, where they added, I'm sorry, it's hard to manipulate this website. I'm almost there. I'm going to show you that they put basically a link to Newzik for their rental material. Here we are. So this is Shot's Hire Library website in German, sorry. They accept Newzik requests. Then you can use PWP for temporary promotions. Universal Edition and Shot use this tool to send content on demand for promotional actions. You can use PWP also in an original way, where you would offer the digital version of a piece in addition to the paper version on request. If a client buys the paper sheet music from you, he can request the digital version and you would send it. I can show you this real quick. Here, Beam Edition, it's a smaller music publisher in Switzerland. On request, for any online sheet music order, get free access to digital copy through Newzik. So he put this information on his website. Eventually, Newzik PWP is really useful for perusal scores, as I mentioned. And we've seen this situation recently with Faber Music, who likes to send perusal scores to conductors with an MP3. So this is really interesting for librarians, for conductors who are preparing the next season. And I received a question from, I think from Edition Peters, asking what's the difference between Newzik and a system like Issue. Well, with Newzik, the client actually has the sheet music. And if you order a perusal score from a publisher, then the client would be able to annotate, to use a foot pedal to turn the pages. So they have really more, a better user experience than only on Issue. And most importantly, they can actually have the score offline in the Newzik application. So they don't have to always be connected to the internet to see the music. I will try to move on now to the Newzik API, our second solution. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's basically a bit of code that the Newzik team would provide you with. And this code will allow you to automatize your digital distribution directly from your website. This means you would have a button on your web store to allow your clients to buy digital scores and receive these scores directly into their Newzik account. In addition to this, if any of your clients doesn't have a Newzik account in the first place, they would be able to create a Newzik account during the purchase process while remaining on your website. I will show you real quick a video of how this API works on Universal Edition website. Universal Edition was the music publisher that co-developed this API with Newzik, and it was the first one to implement it on their website. So I'm going to show you this little video. I hope that's going to work. Let's have a look. So here we are. I'm on universaledition.com on their website, and I purchased a piece where it was mentioned that it's available digitally in Newzik. Now I'm in my cart. So I see that this is the product that I chose. It's $4.99. I put my information about for Universal Edition, and then I have to register into Newzik. So to say, I have to connect my Newzik account to the Universal Edition backend. If I don't have a Newzik account, I can create one on the go. I'm on my regular computer, on my regular publisher web store. I'm buying a piece. I create my Newzik account. And when I'm done, basically, I'm coming back to the publisher's website. So here's a little confirmation that I created my account. So I log into this recently created account. I accept the conditions of linking my account to Universal Edition, and then this shall, yes, this activates, and now I can officially obtain this sheet music into my Newzik account. I click on next, and the purchase process goes on. It's time for me to pay. I will pay directly to Universal Edition. The Newzik step is over. So this was an overview of how this API works. I'm going to briefly recap the concept of the API. So it's for you a way to implement a purchase option on your web store to buy digital scores and receive them directly in Newzik. If someone doesn't have Newzik, they can create an account right away. It's still your pricing, it's your promotions, it's your catalog. You control everything. If you want to only make 10 pieces available at first, you can. If you want to put a catalog of 70,000 digital pieces at once, you can, like some of our partners did. And most importantly, you will benefit from no commission. Newzik does not take any commission on your sales because we're not a distributor here. We're only a technical solution for digital delivery. And we will provide you with additional visibility with a link to your web store inside the Newzik application. Once again, a free account is enough for a customer to receive your content. So there's no extra cost. Technically speaking, we've seen various situations. Our team, our development team is here to help. We will provide the whole code part to be implemented in the back end and in the front end on your side, but it requires that you have a developer in your team. We can also suggest some agencies if you don't have developers. So this we'll be happy to discuss one-to-one if you're interested. The most interesting part about the API is that it opens a lot of doors for promotional actions. First of all, obviously you can confidently monetize your digital catalog by selling digital scores via your website. Then it increases your customer base by adding all the Newzik users who would be interested in your content. And last but not least, it allows massive temporary marketing operations. I'm going to show you some examples after that, but you can think of pushing a particular composer to hundreds of Newzik users for a limited period of time. You could think of allowing access to perusal scores for 48 hours to the entire Newzik community. It's really interesting when it comes to utilizing the expiration date for promotional actions by pushing content into the Newzik community. Let's have a look at some examples. As I mentioned, Universal Edition was the first partner to implement the API on their web store. Since then, we have Tonemus Publishing that added it. We have Virtual Sheet Music, and we have Carl Fischer and Theodor Presser group that are implementing it currently. In parallel, speaking of these marketing operations, Carl Fischer, before even activating the purchase option on their website, they launched a special operation that we called Songs of Comfort. So this operation was the following. Basically, Carl Fischer implemented the API. They selected 50 pieces that they would like Newzik to promote for a limited period of time. We at Newzik, we created a special web page, I'm going to show you, and we inserted these pieces, and we put strong communication means to support this operation. I'm going to show you the Songs of Comfort page right here. This is how it looks like. This is on newzik.com. It's a selection of Carl Fischer pieces, 50 of them right here, nicely displayed, very straightforward. I can view the details. I can even listen to the music. I can click on get this score. This will basically ask me to log into my Newzik account, as we saw before. Either I create or I log in. I'm done. I receive the content. It's over. I have the piece in my Newzik account, and it will expire on June 30th, 2020. The results of this operation went far beyond our expectations. We had over 10,000 downloads of the 50 pieces in less than 2 weeks. And I think the success of this operation really highlights the strength of a neat user experience with a very simple page. It also highlights the importance of putting the sheet music, of putting content closer to the end users. And it also highlights the importance of targeted marketing, because this was our first marketing operation since our fundraising. And we tried to specifically target the musicians, the instruments basically that belonged to the selection of pieces. So based on the success of this operation, we duplicated it for virtual sheet music here. And we'd be really happy to continue such operations with the willing publishers and discuss these opportunities. We basically want to capitalize and to strengthen the following idea. We want to bring your content closer to our users. And this leads me to our last point. Newzik is working on developing a marketplace. We plan on releasing this marketplace this year. The idea was actually suggested by music publishers in the first place, because we heard things like, oh, so we have a web store, but we have very few traffic on the web store, or we don't even have a web store, so we don't know how to promote our catalog. The idea of a marketplace was also strongly supported by the end users, the individual clients, who today cannot find sheet music without spending hours on the internet, jumping from IMSLP to publisher A to publisher B. And the clients, the professional musicians, really what they are looking for is quality content and exhaustivity. And they want to be sure that they are looking at the most recent versions and most recent editions by the music publishers. So looking for sheet music on IMSLP is definitely not appropriate. So this is why today we're creating this marketplace, and we are looking forward to having it launched this year. This is a marketplace, this is not a store. I want to emphasize this. From the client's perspective, this means there's going to be one clear and transversal search bar through all the content available. But there's also going to be, and this is really important, the possibility for the clients to enter your individual universes. Because we want each publisher on this marketplace to have their own boutique. This means it's going to be a place where you will be in full control of your prices. You're going to be in full control of your promotions if you want to make special operations during 1 week, during 1 month. You're going to be in full control of promoting this or that publisher, for example, or this genre. And we, Newzik, we will provide state-of-the-art technology to provide you with unprecedented analytics. Not only will you have statistics about your sales, your income, the geography of your sales, etc., but most importantly, and this is not possible with paper, you will have information about the usage of your pieces inside Newzik. What do I mean with this? When we have our users using your sheet music in Newzik, we basically can have the figures of where they spend the most time. So we can think of an etude book that you would provide with 20 etudes inside. And we would then notice with analytics that 90% of your clients spend 90% of their time on the etude number 3 and 4. And based on these analytics of the usage of the piece, you could make business decisions, such as taking out etude 3 and 4 and selling them as a separate product at a higher price. Eventually, what we want is to have a marketplace with only quality vendors, where you as publishers will not be mixed up with individuals, self-publishers, arrangeurs, things like this. So if I want to summarize this marketplace, it's basically Newzik providing a very large customer base, a new distribution channel for you. We will also provide the technology for a neat user experience, and we will provide customer support. On your side, you will be able, as music publishers, to stick to what you do best. You will be able to really focus on your core business, which is creating and promoting high quality content. If you're interested in this marketplace, and if you want to maybe receive the first designs and the first ideas, please reach out to us, because what we really want is to create a custom-made tool for you publishers. This ends my presentation so far, and I will invite you now to ask any questions that you would have on any topics, PWP, the API, and the marketplace, by raising your hand or utilizing the question and answer section. So I see your first question here. Can you please explain what the user pays to Newzik for the different routes? Right. So I'm going to respond to this question. What does the user pay? When an individual user, a single person, wants to receive content, either through the API or through PWP, having a free Newzik account is enough. So they don't have to pay anything. It's even more than this. Basically, in Newzik, there is a limitation of import to 15 files for the free accounts. Above 15 files, a Newzik user has to switch to premium. But for music publisher, your content is not, basically does not count in the 15 files. So any client could buy an endless number of content from you and not have to pay Newzik. But your what the client pays you is in your hand. You set the pricing. What we've seen different scenarios. For PWP, the higher material platform, usually the prices between digital and paper are quite aligned. You make the business decisions about this. For the API, we've seen different scenarios. Sometimes music publishers would provide the digital version at the same price as the paper. Sometimes they would provide it for a bit cheaper than paper, because basically it's content that is stuck inside Newzik, so the client cannot do whatever they want with it. And when it comes to the marketplace, we're still thinking about the commission system, etc. But it's again gonna be your pricing. You're gonna be the masters of the pricing, and it's gonna be a free software for the end users. They would not have to pay the marketplace specifically to see and buy your content. I see another question. Will a publisher be able to use the marketplace without having its own web store? So the three tools, PWP, API, and marketplace, are complementary. So you can use one of them, two of them, three of them, as you want. And if you do not have a web store as a music publisher, I would recommend that you actually come to us and explore this marketplace ID, because we will provide, it's an off-the-shelf product that we will give you to just import your catalog, and the entire interface is going to be ready for you to use, as well as the user interface. So yes, you will completely be able to use the marketplace without your own web store. Then, is Newzik iOS and a web browser only? Any plans for Android? So this question, we've been asked a number of times. What we decided to do is to rather go in the direction of a web viewer on the short term, because on the web, basically anyone, is it Android, is it Windows, is it this and that, anyone can see the music. With the fundraising that we just made, we're considering further options for an Android application, but I'm not sure it's going to be really relevant on the short term, because Newzik Web, we're working on adding features to annotate, to import, to work on the sheet music. So it's going to be a standalone product that is going to cover lots of customers. I hope this helps. Could you please explain and give more information about how the web-based access for the client? Yes. So basically, I can show you maybe here. I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to show you how it works. The website to Newzik Web is simply web.newzik.com. I reach this site, and I'm able here either to create an account or to connect to an existing account, which is going to be the mirror of my application, if I already have an application. And then I just find my pieces, I find my set lists, I find my projects, I find my account information. So it's as simple as this. I will send you all the necessary links after this webinar to explore Newzik Web as well. Can I clarify how to access multiple scores via API? I'm a choral conductor and I want to buy 30 copies for my choir. Right. So the API allows you as a publisher to set any number of licenses that you want for for any piece of your catalog. So basically, for a choral piece, you could implement on your website a little form, a little field, where the choir conductor would say, I need 30 licenses. He would put in 30, and maybe the price would adapt. This is up to you. And they will basically receive the piece. The person that made the order, let's say the choir conductor, would receive the piece in his Newzik account with 30 licenses, and he would be able to then share the piece to 29 other users, because the choral director counts as one. Right. And if you want to print the sheet music out of Newzik, the choir director would have to contact you and ask you the permission to export the content. And as you saw, it's in the restrictions. I'm going to come back to this page. In the restrictions, there is this allow printing section, which can be changed anytime. So by default, we recommend that you put it on no to block the printing, but you can anytime allow your client to print. But again, this is something that you can negotiate directly with the client. Is the marketplace going to replace PWP? No. So the marketplace is going to work also for rental material. So if you are ready to promote rental material on a marketplace with appropriate pricing, or maybe with just a contact us form, you could put your rental material on the marketplace. But as I said, the tools are complementary, and you can use any of these tools simultaneously, or maybe have a part of your catalog available on PWP, a part on the API, another part on the marketplace. This is completely flexible. How is the quality of the content in the marketplace guaranteed? Well, it's going to be guaranteed because we're going to validate the publishers that basically knock at the door. So if it's not going to be open to anyone, there's going to be a validation process, and we will make sure that it's real publishers that come in. When a client buys the piece, will it be available only through Newzik app? Yes, this is the thing. When a client buys a piece with the API, he receives it in his Newzik account, in his inbox inside the application, or he receives it directly in his Newzik web interface, and he cannot export it unless he asks you the permission to do so. from the publisher's perspective, how secure are our files on your server? So, very good question. I'm going to be transparent. We work with a server that is Amazon Web Services. It's very secure. I can guarantee that if one day we have a problem with our server, it means that Amazon Web Services has a problem with their server. So maybe the pieces that are in Newzik are not your highest priority at that moment. About our server, I don't want to go into too much details, but our server is in Europe. It's based in Europe. It's very secure. We have never had a single failure in 5 years of existence. And we're always working on strengthening it every day. It's completely under control. Does the number of licenses dictate the number of copies that can be printed? Absolutely not. The number of licenses is equal to the number of Newzik users that can see the piece inside Newzik. The printing is a different restriction. And currently, the allow printing works for the entire piece. So if you allow the printing, someone will be able to print any part, the full score, the oboe 2 part, the harp part, everything. But we're implementing now a part by part printing allowance. This will be in the coming features. So no, printing and licenses are a different thing. How is all the data related to certain product implemented in your system? Publishers don't have the answer everything manually. Right. So when you use Newzik PWP to import the content, there are only 2 mandatory fields of metadata. It's the title and the composer. But there are, I think, over 20 different fields of available metadata that you can fill if you like. This is only basically to give more information to the client. When it comes to the API, and yes, it's manual in Newzik PWP. It's a manual tool. You do the import manually and you enter the metadata manually. But with the API, there is an automatic system of basically transforming the metadata of your backend, of your own internal catalog, into our backend with a small tool that would basically convert your metadata into our system. So with the API, everything is manual, including the import. In sales and rental scenarios, are the PDFs downloaded to the customer's device, or do they stay online? Well, in both scenarios, the PDFs arrive in the Newzik application. So there is no downloadable PDF. There is no flying file. And internet connection is required at the precise moment of reception of that content, just to basically enable the transition from your interface to the user's interface of the content. But once the client has the content in his Newzik inbox, he can go offline and he will still have the content available. Newzik does work offline. So I think I covered quite a number of questions. Oh, here's another question. Can Newzik users take screenshots of the music? Well, so this is something related to Apple technology that in Newzik, screenshots are not completely blocked, but they are impeached and they are basically counted. So when you do a screenshot, you're taken out of the score. You're taken out of the, actually you're going back to the menu of Newzik. And we're trying on strengthening this, but it's something that is difficult to do because Apple basically does not allow not doing screenshots. So we're working on this, and we also have the possibility to count the number of screenshots and then delete the customer's account if he does more like than 1 or 2 or 3 screenshots. We can discuss about this. So I see there's also the chat here. Any more questions? Are publishers able to limit where the content can be purchased to account for different copyright laws. Well, so we're about to release the geographical restrictions because thanks to digital technology, basically we can know where the user is located anywhere in the world. So yes, we are willing to implement geographic restrictions so that it matches the different copyright laws, as you mentioned. This is quite technically complicated, but we're doing this, and there are going to be geographical restrictions for sure. When a client buys sheet music in the marketplace, is the publisher being paid directly on Newzik first, and how is the VAT in different countries being calculated? So this is very interesting, and this is very much the discussions that we're having right now at Newzik. We'll be actually happy to involve you publishers in these discussions, in private messages, in conversations. We're basically working on this pricing options, and we're trying to make it as smooth as possible for you publishers, because as we mentioned, we don't want to be distributors, but just a technological interface. Sense of the number of users of Newzik currently. So we have 100,000 users. We have over 10,000 sessions of Newzik per week. I would have to look at the figures precisely. This is for individual users. I can also tell you that in average, all the Newzik users use Newzik for more than an hour per day, which is huge, which means that it's really a professional tool for musicians to actually practice their music and play and perform. When it comes to institutions, well, we have worked with over 100 different orchestras, operas, festivals throughout the entire world, mostly in Europe and North America. I will be able to send you afterwards, if you want a short list of all our different partners and institutions. But what we are also interested in is that you, as music publishers, you basically put us in touch with some of your clients that would require digital scores. This was recently the case where I think it was a conservatory that needed digital scores for online courses. So they asked the music publisher to receive these pieces, and the music publisher suggested to use Newzik to do so. And then we're happy to be put in contact with your clients to help them, to onboard them, to train them with the application, etc. So I think it's a win-win situation where you can also promote that you have a digital catalog available and reach more institutions this way. Do you confirm that all music in Newzik is available offline? Yes, I confirm. In the Newzik application, the Newzik app completely works offline. You can do everything offline apart from sharing music with another musician, because this needs some kind of connection. Newzik Web, for the moment, is dependent on an internet connection because it's on a web browser. How much does a premium account cost for the customer? So premium account is €2.99 per month or $17.99 per year. I know there are differences between the different countries, but it's in this range of prices. Around 2 or 3 per month and less than 20 per year, depending on the country. And I may add that during this COVID situation, we have opened premium accounts for all music professionals, all music students and teachers, to let them have Newzik Premium until the end of June. So again, if some of our clients are desiring to receive digital scores, put them in touch with us and we will activate them as premium for free during the time of the project. So we'll be happy to do this. And I think it's good that basically we find projects together so that you can also experiment our tools and try this out. So This presentation is coming to an end. I thank you so much for all your questions. I will send you afterwards the presentation, the PowerPoint that you saw. I will send you all the necessary links to PWP, to some use cases, examples. I will also send you the recording of this session. And maybe as in the last minutes, if any of you want to talk and maybe share some experiences or ask some different questions, I can unmute some of you if you're interested. Otherwise, I thank you again for your time. And I definitely hope that this gave you enough information to, well, to have a better understanding of our vision with digital sheet music and what we can maybe do together. No questions?